Libra, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carole. This is going to be a general reading for you, and there's no date on it, so I trust that when it comes into your feed, it's meant for you. And we're going to be doing the blind spot today. And we're going to start off with Teal Swans, blind spot oracle cards. And this is the first oracle card deck I think I bought when I first started doing tarot. So they're interesting cards because they have these weird, almost symbol-like things on them, and they're called sigils. And Teal made it quite clear in her guidebook that these are not symbols. What they are is they have magical. It's an entity in itself that has a magical power. And so what it's going to do in this reading, it's going to help us focus on and pull out and bring awareness to your blind spot. And so your blind spot I picked out before I turned on the record button, and I picked this card for you, and it's called Scarcity. If you have drawn this sigil, you are falling into scarcity, You've fallen into scarcity thinking, and it is causing you to think, speak, and act in ways that do not benefit you or other people. It may cause you to make choices that are not the right ones. Remember, this is a blind spot, so you don't see it. We are apt to jump on the first offer we get when we are desperate to sell. We take jobs we hate when we need to pay the bills. If our family was poor, we tend to either hoard our money so as to avoid ever being without it when we really need it, or we never save our money for the long run because we feel our money will vanish or be taken away if we don't immediately spend it on something we want. So if you've drawn the sigil, you have all kinds of perceptions, beliefs, information, valid feelings, and valid experiences that are telling you that scarcity is the reality. But what you do not see is that even if they are valid, they are not currently an accurate reflection of your actual reality. So there's somewhere here that you are looking at things and saying and doing because you perceive there be scarcity. If you've drawn it, the sigil, you do anything you can to move into a perception of abundance instead of scarcity. So yeah. What area of your life are you thinking that, there's not enough? That's what scarcity is about. That, what is it that there's not enough of something? So it's causing you to almost, we can act out of fear and causing you to do the wrong things, choose the wrong things, doing the wrong things. So let's look at it. I'm going to use, let me see, I think I'm going to use the Tarot of the Abyss because I really want to take a deep dive into this situation for you, and so that usually helps me get there. I can't remember if I pre-shuffled these, so I'm just going to do a little bit. I can shuffle, I just try not to bend my cards too much. Usually I mix them all up before, but I think we're good. So I'm going to look at what situation, issue, decision you're facing right now in regards to the scarcity. So what area are you feeling this? I'm going to look at what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing. So it's something to do with when you were really young or an adolescent where you might have felt, some scarcity in your life. Where is it that you were kind of felt like, you didn't have enough of something, didn't get enough of something. So we're going to look at that because that's what's driving and having the most impact on the situation you're sitting in right now. And then I'm going to look at some guidance that the tarot has for you, and I'll also give you a little bit of guidance that I have for you, and I'll offer some suggestions for some videos you can look at from my other channel called Carole Cares. So let's get into this Tarot of the Abyss. So I want 3 cards for you. So what situation, issue, decision are you facing right now, Libra, that is where there's some scarcity, maybe blind spot around scarcity of the Ten of Swords, and that came sideways. What's coming up from your shadow that's driving this, that needs healing right now. It's having the biggest impact on this. This is your childhood, your adolescence. Stuff you repressed, you put away. Things people told you. You have the 9 of Swords. Again, sideways. We're going from the 10 to the 9. What guidance does the tarot have for you? That came out quickly. You have the Ace of Wands. And that was, all these 3 came out sideways, you know. So it's almost like, you know, you're sitting on the fence, you're not sure. Well, it makes sense because you're not, this is a blind spot for you, right? So, let's turn to the Rider-Waite. And this is the Radiant Rider-Waite. And can you tell me a couple, tell me a bit about this 10 of Swords. A couple cards for that. Oh, these two both. So you have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse and the King of Swords in reverse. Tell me some more about the 9 of Swords. Ooh. Cards are coming out quickly, which is nice. 10 of Cups in reverse and the Ace of Swords. Ace of Wands. Two aces on the table you have. So, Ace of Wands. One more card for the Ace of Wands. Tell me some more about that, Ace of Wands. Okay, oh, another ace. Wow. Okay, so you have the Page of Cups sideways and the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so again, your blind spot is scarcity, right? Feeling like you don't have enough. So, 10 of Swords talks about, yeah. Swords is all about our mental energy. So, I often look at swords as, you know, those things that we tell ourselves. We can hear that we kind of spin in our head, and you know, especially the ones that, the real negative things we tell ourselves, the ones that we can really beat ourselves up with, right? And oftentimes they're messages that we heard when we were younger, from our caretakers, from kids in the playground. And those are the things that we've buried or repressed because nobody likes to, you know, think that about themselves. And you know, people told you things when you were younger, well, you put those away, but oftentimes we repeat them in our head. They come up and we can really believe that this is who we are, but what people told us. So this 10 of Swords is your first card, and it's sideways here because it's almost like you are feeling so done in by all these things that you believe about yourself, that you've been told all your life. It's like, I don't want to say you've collected them, but I mean, there's a number of things that you've really, a lot of things that people told you, and this is how you formed your impression of who you are, of who you really are, right? And so let's get a little bit more clarity on this. And 5 of Pentacles is behind it, and the 5 of Pentacles is in reverse because I think there's a real resistance to looking at this and how much you need to look at it, because again, it's these two individuals that are walking by this place of worship, and I mean they're dressed, poorly dressed. They don't have the proper shoes. In fact, they have, you know, different shoes on. This woman's in her bare feet. They're not even considering looking at this place beside them that maybe they can go in and get some heat and get some help, right? So this is a real unworthiness card, not even feeling worthy enough, and it's in reverse. So I think there's this real cycle. I heard the word cycle. You just keep on cycling these thoughts of unworthiness through your head. And so these are things that you would have heard when you were younger, about how much you don't matter, and you know, whatever it is you're telling yourself in relation to the situation you're sitting in right now. You have been told that you're just not enough. You're just not enough. You do not matter. And there's a lot of scarcity in that, you know, when we feel like we're just not enough. And maybe that's where the scarcity is coming in, right? And then you have the King of Swords here, and he's in reverse. And King is, my deck is the masculine side of us. We all have a masculine and a feminine side. Nothing to do with our gender. But he has a sword in his hand. And the sword by itself, I talked about it being mental energy, right? And these things that we tell ourselves. But when it's by itself, it's always the sword of authenticity, right? It's the sword that's going to cut through the bullshit and find out who you really are. But this is our masculine, this is our ego. And our ego wants nothing to do with authenticity. It wants nothing to do with you trying to figure out who you are. And so I think you've been really, I'm going to say, stuck up in your head, spinning over these things that people told you all your life. And you have created this image of you in your head, right? It's not who you are, but you continue to feel like you're not good enough. And, maybe you've done a lot of things to prove that, you're not good enough, because that's what we do in our life, right? We've been told that all our life. And so we have to prove these people right, or, whatever. But you're at a point where it's like, I think you need to take a real hard look at, what are you telling yourself? And what are these things that you've told yourself, that you've heard all your life, that you have made yourself feel so unworthy and not enough? You're just not enough. You spend your whole life trying to be that one person for everybody, but it's never going to be enough. And so let's look at your shadow, where this is coming from, what happened to you when you were younger, that, is playing out in your life right now, because that's what happens. And there's some healing here that has to take place around this not being good enough. There's that scarcity in there. So 9 of Swords comes out first, and it's sideways here. And take a look at this individual. Here's the 10 of Swords. Very interesting. It's right underneath it. Here's the 10 of Swords, and we talked about all those things you've been told all your life, and it's finally done you in. Well, guess what? When we go to look at your shadow, which is your childhood and your adolescence, here's this individual. Look what they're trying to do. You're trying to fend off all these things that people are telling you about yourself, right? These are these things that people tell you. In fact, the 9 of Swords talks about this individual that I often look at it as a memory card, where he's waking up in the middle of the night and he's having these nightmares. And I'm wondering, when you were younger, if you had a lot of nightmares, right? But this is a memory card that's sitting here in your shadow. I call this a memory coming up for you. Well, this is the memory of people telling you all kinds of shit and how you didn't matter, right? Filling your head with lies when you were younger. And here's this 10 of Cups in reverse. 10 of Cups is a card that's beautiful. It's a beautiful rainbow of emotions. It's like we have all these emotions. When we were brought into this world, we had a rainbow of all these emotions that we had access to. But somewhere along the line, you were taught that you weren't allowed to feel. You weren't allowed to use your emotions. You weren't allowed to get angry. You weren't allowed to express how you felt, right? And so here's this memory coming up for you that reminds you that when you were younger, you didn't have access to all your emotions. Your emotions didn't matter when you were younger. Well, how does that make you feel? Well, it makes you feel like you don't matter, right? That you're not enough, you're not good enough. You're not allowed to express how you feel. You're not allowed to cry. That's a crybaby. You're not allowed to get angry. You're just not allowed. And then you have the Ace of Swords here that's buried. So what happened when you were told that your emotions didn't matter? Well, you felt like you were matter. You didn't matter. And here's the Ace, the single sword, right? Buried in your shadow. We talked about how that single sword, again, it's right underneath the King of Swords, our ego self, our authentic blocking our authenticity. Well, your ego self doesn't want you to go here, doesn't want you to look at your shadow, doesn't want you to see this memory, doesn't want you to experience or feel these emotions that are coming up right now. Well, your true self, your authentic self. This is like a beginning card, the Ace. It's a gift from the universe, right? It's a gift of your authentic self. Here you are. You were born with your authenticity. Around 4, 5, 6 years old, you knew who you were. You knew what you came here to be or who you were. But you know what? When you're told don't feel like that, you're not allowed to feel like that, well, you lose all sense of that. It's buried in your shadow. You know, who am I? Who am I now? So here you are with this feeling of unworthiness, complete unworthiness, because you didn't matter when you were younger. And that's coming up for you right now to heal. That's what happened to you when you were younger. And that's why it's repeating right now. That's why you don't feel good enough. You know, you always got this feeling of scarcity. You're just not enough. Doesn't matter who it is or what situation. I'm just not enough. Because that's what you were taught when you were younger. And so how do you start to heal this? This is a process. Well, you start off with the Ace of Wands. Here's a new beginning for you, but this time it's not the sword. You have 2 aces, 2 brand new beginnings for you right here. 2 beautiful gifts from the universe. Ace of Wands, and then you have an Ace of Pentacles. Well, the Ace of Wands says, here's a wand for you. You're not sure whether you want to take it. It's a creative wand. It's beautiful feminine quality or creativity. Creativity can mean so many things. But you know what this one says for you? Here's your chance now to put you first. And when I say that, what's your reaction? It's like, oh my God, I can't do that, because you don't feel worthy enough to put you first now. But that's the most creative thing you can do for yourself, is to put you first. And the Page of Cups is here. This little guy, he comes in, I think he was in reverse. He's an inner child. My pages in my deck are all inner children. And if I had to pick one card that was the most important one on this table, it would be my Page of Cups. Because the Page of Cups is the inner child that has love backing them up, emotions backing them up. And when we don't get the love that we were supposed to get when we were younger, we have this real, the word damaged came in. I don't like that word, but it's a part of you that is really, really desperate for love. It's trying to get that love that you didn't get when you were younger. And so if you find yourself as someone, Libra, that is desperately trying to get that love, and you might say, that's not me. But if you're constantly, inviting the same types of people in your space, and you can't understand why you're getting rejected, or why they're making you feel unworthy, or it could be people from work even, or friends that you meet, new people that you meet. There's always that rejection element to it. There's always that element of, they're going to teach you that you're just not enough. Because that's who you're going to continue to invite into your space, because you need to heal this. And this is this little part of you, this Page of Cups. I call it my love seeker. And he's the one that is so desperate for love and trying to get that love that he didn't get. And so he needs healing. So the first thing that we can do is start to recognize that I have this little part of me that didn't get love when they were younger. Definitely didn't get enough of it. And the first thing for you, I'm going to say, is to learn how, and here's a beginning, another beginning ace for you, is to learn how to ground yourself. The ace is all about the earth element, the grounding element. The pentacle is our body, actually. And when we were younger, we knew what it meant to be grounded in our body when we were 4, 5, 6 years old. And we can't stay in our body when we're younger if we don't feel worthy of ourselves, right? We end up going up in our heads. Our ego takes us up there because there's no emotions up there. And I did say that at the beginning that you're very much up in your head because you have this unworthiness. And you've been spinning in your head and telling yourself all these things. But it's time now for you to discover, well, I have this body. And that's where all my emotions are. They're not up in my head. But it's time for me to start to feel some of this unworthiness that I have. And these emotions that were buried. You buried a lot of these heavy emotions when you were younger because they're big emotions. You couldn't handle them when we were younger. You're not capable of handling these big emotions. But it's time for you to get back in your body and start to feel. So I'm going to leave you, Libra, with a grounding video. A couple of videos that will teach you how to ground yourself. And teach you how to get back into your body so you can start to feel some of these big emotions. And so, Libra, I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. And so I want you to stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.